Stop Working Broke podcast, hosted by Chad Murray. If you're buried in jobs, chasing checks, and your phone goes quiet the second you stop pushing, you're not alone. Here, you'll get real tips and straight advice to fix your systems, tighten up your team, and create steady leads, because we build freedom by fixing what keeps you stuck. Let's get to it. Thank you for coming. Stop Working Broke podcast. This is Chad, like I said in the intro here. I'm so glad that everyone is starting to watch and listen to all my little clips and stuff. And, you know, as I progressed from my other podcast, which I morphed into this one, it has really starting to take off. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Today I have a guest. Today's topic is how to do two things with AI. Number one is help your business. Number two is how to help your personal life with actually using it. It's funny how you might be listening or saw this and you're starting to listen to these clips in this podcast episode, and you're like, well, I already use it. Yeah, but you're not using it right. I promise you, when you start learning how to use it, it will start saving time. It'll not just save time with just something small. It's going to start saving time on the workflow that you do and stuff. So that's why I've met Dan Gentry, and he has his own little AI business, and we met. And Dan, how you doing?
I am doing fantastic, man, and excited to be here and talk about AI. I love it.
Yeah, so I kind of get a little preference. So let's talk a little bit about you. So tell me a little bit about what you do first, and then tell me a little bit about you.
Sure. So Dan Gentry, from Central Florida, actually grew up on a farm in Dunellen, Florida, of all places. Been around forever, around technology forever. I always tell people I wrote my first computer program in 1980.
Ooh.
So I've been in technology a long time. But just something that I really, really enjoy. I've always lived with the belief that technology was going to save us time and make our lives easier. I remember the Jetsons growing up, and that's what I wanted. I'm still upset that I don't have a flying car. Just saying.
They're coming. They're coming.
But it's always been where technology was supposed to save us time and energy and give us more free time. And the reality is that technology has generally done the opposite. For the most part. And for me, AI is the first time that I think that we can actually get that reality. And so that's why I started, my Impact AI Fan Center community, and I'm teaching people how to use AI, how to leverage it, and then how to do it properly, not only from a technical perspective, here's how you prompt and here's your frameworks and all of that, but when you do use AI, and you get that time back, what are you doing with that time? Because the initial impulse that people have is, oh, well, I can do more. And I'm like, just wait, right? Okay, you got 10 hours back. Now, do something in that. Take 5 of those hours to do more stuff. And the other 5, go do something that's actually going to make you a better human being, something that's going to make life more fulfilling. I always tell my team that I have one primary job and then a whole bunch of secondary jobs. The secondary jobs are things like project management and all of the normal stuff. My primary job, though, is to make sure that work does not suck. That's my primary job. And so that's what I want for everyone, is where their life doesn't suck, right? Because there's so many things right now that are challenging. And so we get that time back, and we really leverage AI and agents and all of the different levels. I've got 4 levels of AI adoption, but when we do that right, we can actually have a life that we like. So crazy.
Well, it's funny of what like I'll give you the perfect example of how AI has helped me really quick. So I spent around 10 years recording on my iPhone, and then I would save it to the cloud, my life story and business. And I then hired a ghostwriter helped me write it, and then we had to go through the book 4 times to get it completely in my voice. After which just what I mean, he wrote a great book, through my stories and everything else, and but then we had to like pivot a little bit to sound, and he had to rewrite the book 4 times, which wasn't that arduous of a process. It was actually a fun process. It really was. And then I published. If you guys don't know, it's Operation Entrepreneur Freedom. You can get it on Amazon. Um, and I built the book to tell my story, and then at the end of it, have a task or something to learn in every chapter for you to do in your business. And so it literally is, my biographical life since I was a kid, and anything I did in business, which so it's people always tell me it's super interesting. So fast forward, that book was published 4 or 5 years ago. I had an idea of, and I kept finding in my coaching business, everybody hits these growth traps, and they get. And so I just literally was on a Saturday morning. My wife, we had coffee outside. She went in. She's going to go do running around that Saturday. And I literally didn't have a whole lot going on. It was a beautiful day. So on my phone, me and ChatGPT wrote a new book. Literally, I said, take my stories from my book because I had downloaded my book in a ChatGPT. And this is the paid version, everybody. If you're using the free version, it's not going to get to know you. So you got to pay the 15, 20, whatever it is a month to be part of ChatGPT. So it'll get to know you. And I started telling it stories of growth traps that I've experienced with myself and my clients. And 3.5 hours later, I had a full book. Full book. I have not published it yet because I've been shiny objects sidetrapped, but I will get it published in the next 3 or 4 months, But I mean, and I've played it to myself. I put it on where it would read it to me, and believe me, and like I did with my own book, I got to listen to it, and it's got to sound like me, and it's got to be me, and it's got to be interesting. And I got done with the book, and I listened to it. I'm like, I don't have one hit it. This thing nailed it. Because every chapter I would type in, and what I also did, which I did not do in my first book, excuse me, I asked it to give me an experience from somebody else out there that's super successful that went through this exact scenario and tell me that story as well to add to the book. So it's not just me. Yeah. So, I mean, yes. So I did that. So I can't wait to publish this book because it's got my own experiences and how I've helped other people, but then real stuff like Elon Musk and Henry Ford and, people, some other conquerors in the past. It goes all the way back, Jesus even. And there's so many things that are in this book that bring it to life of stories in the history as well. So I did that. And I literally wrote this book in 3 hours. And then listen to it. It was awesome. And so that's what AI did for me, just to write a book, which is really cool. But let's get into Dan. So we talked. You said you have 4 levels. I'm really interested in the business side first, and then we can talk about personal later. But I'm really interested in my audience is definitely all blue collar people listening to me that own businesses. So the easy introductory level of what is something that they can do to start using AI effectively.
I would say the first one that 95% of my business clients is I'm drowning in email, right? It's, email is just an absolute pain in the ass. There's so much stuff, and not all of us have a personal assistant that does it for us, right? And so it's not a terribly challenging thing to create. There are a number of tools. I tried Fixer, wasn't for me. But my favorite, because the idea is, one, you want to categorize your emails. What are they supported? Are they billing? Are they, important? Are they VIPs? That sort of thing. But then also, it can draft a reply for you, right? That's one thing. So the system that I kind of built out, that I of course I'm a coder by nature, right? So I built a little app that takes you through a wizard and says, all right, what are your categories, and if it's important, do you need to be texted when it comes in? Do you need it to be forwarded to somebody else? So all of these different automations that handle, so they read the email, categorize it, which makes it easy to organize, forward it if it's important, move it to a folder if it's, newsletter or whatever that you don't need to see right now. So handling all of that is probably the biggest and easiest, use case that gets immediate results for people.
It's funny. So that's not an app that I would ever use. But let me tell you why I know it's a great app or a great tool. See, I'm on my email all the time answering, and I'm in that world where I don't like, I have zero emails, new email. My inbox stays at zero. I mean, because I read it constantly. Now, here's what I know: I have clients, and I have my wife. Now we're getting into the personal side of it. Has 1,300 to 5,000 inbox emails. And it's like, how do you live? Like, so it's a pet peeve of mine. I answer, like I've got a text right now from a weight loss coach I have that I'm dying to answer. I'm not going to, but he's already questioned, like, because I usually answer, because I answer emails and texts pretty much right away. And so, but I know the public, this is like my OCD, right? This is what I do. I'm an implementer. I take care of stuff right now, but I know other people don't. The majority of people don't.
Well, yeah, but now here's the thing, and a little bit of challenge you there. The reality is if you're constantly checking your emails, you're task switching all the time.
Oh, I am.
So anytime an email comes in, you are going to stop what you're doing to switch to that and then switch back. And that means that, if you've got a heavy email day, the amount of actual work that you get done is a lot smaller.
Well, so I have a system. If you get to know me, I'm a systems guy. So I look at it, and I haven't actually looked at it since we've been on this podcast, but I'll look at it, and it's when I get up so I have to take a break every 90 minutes. I'm not allowed to sit in this chair for more than 90 minutes. I got to get up, walk around, take a 10 to 15-minute break. I've got to do that because I work from home, and I could sit in this chair for 9 hours except for to pee. I could forget to eat. So I've got a little internal timer that about every 45 to 90 minutes, I get up, I go kiss my wife, I fill my water, I might get a snack or eat lunch or something. That's when I check my emails. So I mean, so I don't task break.
Okay.
But I'm not going to say that I've been on a task that I will look and it has broken the stuff. So don't get me wrong. I would say it works for the most part, but you're right. There would be times that I would do it. So here's the one thing, and I don't want to make this whole podcast just about the email thing. But the one problem I could see, and help me out with this, I don't want to miss anything. So if I start answering people automatically, how do I know what I said? Like, I have to read it still. I still have to read it.
I want to be real clear. No, we are not having AI automatically send emails. My favorite, and the reason I stopped using Fixer, which I'm sure it's
never even heard of it, but yeah, that's fine.
It creates draft emails, and so the system I do creates a draft. So it gets email, it composes it and saves it as a draft. So you go in, edit it, send it.
Got it.
But my company is technically Third Power Performance, right? That's the name of my LLC. And so it wrote a draft email. It was an email for somebody looking for speaking opportunity or leads, like, wanting to be a lead partner or networking partner. And it's like, yes, what I look for leads are automotive stores and automotive customizers, especially those that do custom headers and like all this gearhead stuff. And I'm like, I'm speaking and coaching. Right? It's like absolutely nothing to do. I mean, you give me an engine to try. I'm lost. I mean, I can put the oil in. I can do the basics, but
Yeah.
I am not a gearhead.
Right.
And so it wrote this whole thing about how I was looking for auto repair and customization shops. I'm just like, no, I need to edit that first. Right? So no, I do not ever have AI generated messages that go out without a human looking at.
Okay, so you are still in the know of your email. So what's the next best thing? Because I want to make sure we get enough of what your services are and everything that you do to really help people out listening. So what I mean explicitly to a business. So I got the email thing. What else?
So kind of going back on what I just said, like the service chatbots and being able to do the lead follow up and all of that. If you build those with very heavy guardrails, that is something where a lot of times if somebody's reaching out to you, the support things are generally it's like you could read if they would read the frequently asked questions, you'd probably cover it, but people don't.
Right.
So having that kind of a chat interface is really helpful to reduce the amount of time spent on like support and that sort of thing. So I find and also with lead generation, right? There's some really great tools, even with speech. I've got a friend of mine that does like speaking bots. So you go to his webpage and it talks to you, right? And asks, and you have a conversation. I actually built one of those. It was a toy for me, but I was playing with it. And so you have the chatbot backend, so it can actually walk people through, they're checking their billing or what have you.
So you build that, or you have someone else that does that? The voice bots.
I have somebody else build that.
But you do the chat bots.
Yes. So I help with that kind of design.
Are you using Go High Level?
I am using ClickFunnels right now. I'm probably going to be moving over to Go High Level. That's actually one of the things over by the end of the year. So I've got this 2 weeks is generally more quiet for Christmas and New Year's, and so actually one of my plans is to spin up a Go High Level and.
So let me give a little advice on that. Keep your ClickFunnels, maybe downgrade your subscription, but keep it. It's very good to keep it to import it in working ClickFunnels and import it into Go High Level. But here's what I'll find: a lot of businesses will go try Go High Level, and then they find out very quickly, it is way out of their realm, and they don't have time to do it. That's where you get to the AI agencies. Like I have Go High Level. I also have a SaaS program that came out. That's a CRM, Service Galaxy, that we have spent. We're probably at around $24,000 on the AI bot that's part of the program, because we had to build out the UX, UI, and everything with it to work with everything. So it's not like we could have used the Go High Level voice agent and implemented it in there, but then it wasn't that we owned it and worked with the phone system perfectly and all that other stuff. So we had to do all that, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's still learning, because it's going to have to learn multiple niches, and it's using Google. It's using the Google AI, whatever it is, for right now. And there's still some glitches that they're still working on it. Like I have a meeting every Friday and tell them how bad it is yet still. And so let me tell them.
And that's the thing. It is not. I would love to say it's wave the magic wand and poof, it's done. It's an iterative process. You try it. Okay, this is what worked well. This is what didn't.
Yep.
Right? And you just keep going through that cycle.
Well, the good thing is with service companies, it's like it's not quite there to be your CSR yet, your customer service agent, your call center person, but it's there to definitely be after hours. And I'm gonna say in 6 months, you could probably, if you have, let's just say you're a bigger company, you have 4 people CSRs, you could probably let go of 3 of them and let the AI do it all, and just have one for all the production and all the different kind of things that you need to speak to somebody with. You'll be able to let them go. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, but you will. But then you get to take money and put it somewhere else. So, I mean, this is where people say AI is hurting. AI is going to hurt every business. Well, of course it's going to do it is. But like for me, like I don't own the company anymore, but I would deploy our AI agent, let it filter to learn everything. And then instead of letting, because we did have 4 people, that's why I use it as an example. Instead of letting go of these other 3 call center girls that I have, I would have just pivoted them to different opportunities in my business because they're all good people. So this is where you got to start thinking, what could they do to support your business in a different aspect? And maybe I would have had to let one of them go, but 2 of them I would have kept and go from there, right? So I mean, but how much can AI save your time, be better, be more efficient, and stuff like that? So we got chatbots, we got email, we got voice AI. What else does Dan do?
Oh, so I mean, there's also the low hanging fruit things like meetings. I mean, meeting notes and follow ups and all of that. Any type of operation stuff. You've got a meeting like this. We're recording this right now, right? And it's like at the end, here's all the takeaways. Okay, Dan said he was going to do this. Chad said he was going to do that, right? And having being able to do that, just have it happen automatically is tremendous. There's depending on the business, if you've got a large amount of like knowledge, right? Of here's the way we do things. Here's the way our operations work. Here's what should happen when if somebody goes out on a call and there's an issue with you know you know with the job that was done and the homeowner's really angry, basically what do we do in that kind of situation? You can have like that internal kind of knowledge base and helper have that if you as the owner wish that you could be there to help in a situation like that, that's a place where it could be. Right, you can have that. So not just customer support for a chatbot, but actually like here's the way our internal systems work, and here's what to do in these kinds of situations.
I did like the meeting notes thing, and of course, there's a million of those meeting note things out there.
Right.
But so I have seen some of these meeting notes, like my coach, who we kind of coach each other, but she has one. I forget what it's called, and it's probably the best one I've ever seen. And it's a popular one. I just can't right now remember the name of it. And it's got the different things, and at the end of it, it's got the good synops and stuff. But I was thinking about it when I got my last meeting notes from her. It's like I wish this thing would tie into my calendar and task, and actually promote what we talked about into actionable steps on my calendar. That would be cool. If and maybe not like at 10 o'clock do this, but maybe I set it to where give me my note, give me a task for that day. Because I never schedule anything between 7 and 8. All my notes go between 7 and 8. That's how I use my calendar, and I teach people how to use their calendar properly. And so, like, if like when we first got on, I had something that I had to do a note with. So what I was doing was I was putting that. Someone had texted me, and I went and put on there, I got to call Polio about GHL to put him in there for a thing that I had to do. So I just put that in there right before we started recording. So now I know when we get done with this thing, I got to call Polio and set him up. And so, but I wish that these automated like meetings that I have, everybody's having meetings, and a lot of people have Loom notes and all these other AI notes.
Yeah.
But do you ever even read it? So that's where it comes to the problem. It's the same problem you have when you go to a convention and you get so hyped up when you come back, you're so and you do nothing. You come back, you might do one thing, and you like forget about everything at that convention that you really did, and maybe over time you might remember something when it comes up as a hot point, but you really don't do anything when you come back. It's the same thing with a meeting. Like if you're not doing L10 meetings, if you're not aware of that from Traction, L10 meetings that actually keep people accountable. They have their rocks, and they have to do it, and they have to do that by next week. And if not, the whole team's going to get on your ass because you didn't do it. Blah blah blah. You got to get your rocks done, and there's no excuses. I wish that someone, and here you go, Dan. is to build out an AI listening note thing that would then task people reminders to do things. That would be great. Because right now you get an email, and quite frankly, I think out of Francine sent me in the last month 4 of those. I've read one of them.
Not hard to do.
I'm sure it's not. You just got the idea first, right?
It's a you could probably do that with a fairly straightforward N8N flow. So N8N is basically like Zapier. Most people know Zapier. Same kind of thing. It's the one I like because I can run it locally on my computer. I don't have to have a cloud account for it. But I'm a geek also, so
I was gonna say, you don't like the cloud? You don't like the cloud?
All skill levels. But yeah, that's the kind of thing where, and this is where I talk about like the 4 levels of AI. That's getting into the agent into level 2 and starting into level 3 is where you would build a workflow around that, right? So you can use Teams, you can use Zoom, you can use whatever agent to record the meeting. Here's the transcript, here's the summary, here's the takeaways. Well, then what do you do with that, right? For me, that goes into your knowledge base, right? Into a database or Notion or whatever, right? But you save that. It can even be an email tagged properly. And then your flow goes through and looks at all of those things, all of the tags that haven't been dealt with yet, and says, okay, do I need to add a note and send that to, I'm using Outlook or I'm using Google, however you want to do that. But you can have the flow actually tag that, read the thing. Here's my script. This is what the agent is supposed to do, right? And I use the term agent very kind of loosely, but you have an agent that, the prompt is, you are a integrations expert, and you need to make sure that or an operations expert, make sure all of the tasks and things that are decided in meetings are taken care of, that the appropriate notes are handed to the appropriate people, and blah, blah, blah. And then it processes the meeting, creates those notes, and sends them to where they need to go.
Okay, everyone listening, we're boring you to death, but because I want you to hear me now, this is the future. So it's not that you need to know what everything Dan just geeked out on. That was all boring. Here's what you need to know, right? Because that was the back end. No, so here, listeners, here's the important part. Here's why I'm having Dan on here. You need to learn to hire somebody to do AI agents. So let's get into AI agents, Dan, because AI agents are your little assistants and helpers that you pay someone. And it's not, here's the thing, it's not expensive to build an AI agent. Matter of fact, it's super cheap. For what it's going to do for you. Now, if you're going to get stupid complex, yeah. If you're going to go build an AI agent that like literally wraps your business, but that word wrap is the important part. So like what he just said, and I'm going to do this in layman's terms. You want to make something actionable on your calendar that you just had a meeting with your team. Okay. Maybe you're using Microsoft Teams. Maybe you're not. I don't care. So you take the notes of, let's say you use a Loom note, or let's say you use Zoom. You record your meeting. The notes go into an AI agent. Boom. That AI agent then connects to all your calendars and reads it all in fast time and gives them all the actionable steps, reminders, or maybe tasks that they need to do in whatever program you're using. Like a lot of marketing companies are using Notion. We use Notion in our marketing company. I don't use it anywhere else. But you could put it on Google Calendar. You could put it on, if you have a CRM connected to, if you're using ServiceTitan or Service Galaxy, a Jobber, you connect to their OpenAI, and boom. That person in there will get their task and their stuff and reminders to do stuff however you code it that you wanted to do it. You literally can hire Dan or hire somebody else to come in here and literally build me out a quick, real fast, just give me my notes of my meeting to make sure that I get everything done for next week and everyone knows what they're doing and they get the reminders and follow-ups. And if you want to hound the shit out of your people, keep sending them texts and emails if you got this done. So this is what I'm talking about, people. So this is where it gets to be, how you manage your business. So everyone hates that word, micromanage. No, you're damn right you micromanage your business, and how you do it is how you manage it. So if you're over everybody's shoulder all the time, you're not building the correct systems. The system is the micromanaging side of it, not you hovering. You're where it gets to be micromanaged, where my people is when they're not doing their job, and then you have to figure out how to get them or replace them. And then that's a whole different podcast. But that this is where you start getting into AI. So you learn to find somebody to build these little agents that live in your own world to build your business. And we're talking easy stuff. Easy stuff.
Yeah, like, because I have not done that particular use case of taking the meetings and turning it into a task. But as you were talking about that, I'm like, oh yeah, that would just be this, and this. It probably would take 3 or 4 hours to fine tune it and all of that. Now you have how much would it be worth if you had a virtual an agent, somebody that you hired that their sole job was to go to the meetings, take the notes, and make sure that people did what they wanted, right? How much is that worth, right? For me, it would be like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Right.
And you can do that where, yes, there's the upfront cost to build it. If you've got, depending on the business style, type, you may have like an IT infrastructure already. You could stand up and
most homes. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. So we just concepted to something in your mind. You just kind of played it out in your head. You said take you 3 or 4 hours. So if I own an HVAC company, right, or chimney company or whatever, I've got 10, 15 employees, or let's go even more, or whatever. And I'm having management meetings or even just meetings, sales meetings, whatever. Okay. Well, what would you charge me to build that?
I mean, it's probably about 1,500, 2,000.
Okay. So how much would that be worth to you? And by the way, that goes forever. That you're going to have that forever working your business. And here's the thing. And if I were you, I would negotiate with Dan, to have my updates and follow-ups as part of that build, how many I would get. And make that system be as accountable as possible to where you're not doing follow-ups. Because this is where systems die. You're building this out to get everybody their tasks. And now you got to make sure that they do the tasks. So you have to build this out to where it is functioning. So otherwise you're just building on another thing you just built that is telling everybody what to do, but nobody's following up. Nobody's doing anything. So you got to build the whole system of management around it. And believe me, 1,500 might be a little expensive for a lot of the smaller guys, but I know I can think of 10 companies in my company, and for sure, I would have paid $1,500. Some of you smaller guys, you might negotiate. Dan, hey, do that. Can you do this for $600? And it doesn't have to be as elaborate. And I bet you Dan would be like, all right, 2-3 hours, shit, $600. I'll do that. You want to get more elaborate? It's gonna be another $600. No big deal, right? That's the next thing. You have to learn how to, this AI thing is blowing up, and you got to figure. So we're just giving you simple examples. Like everybody's selling AI agents and chatbots you can go find that anywhere for $200-300. So that's not even that big of a deal. And you're probably already looking into it or thinking about it if you don't already have it. And so AI voice, everyone's going to have an AI voice bot in the next year for sure. If you don't, you're going to be way behind the times, because people are going to start calling at midnight and you're not answering the phone. So you might as well have them schedule an appointment for you. But what can you do to run your business? And deal with that. You could build an AI bot just to study your sales, literally to get into your CRM, to study your sales, give you your numbers. So here's one. If you could build, so everybody has little reports but none of the reports and most of the CRMs are really a good snapshot of the week or the month. They're separate reports, or they're not exactly everything you want. We tried to build in Service Galaxy these reports, but we still won't be exactly what everyone would be. It's something that I think if somebody would build out a real AI agent that could Zapier into their CRM and their books and give them the reports that they need on a weekly basis, you could be a billionaire. If you could do that, I promise you, every single person, and if you made it cheap enough, like overbuilt it, and then, now we're getting into ClickFunnels, how to sell stuff, stack it up to where you'll get a lot of people buying it for $200 a month or even $50 a month, you'd sell billions of them. I mean, I know for a fact nobody knows their numbers right, because you have to figure out how to put it all together, and figuring all that out from all these different sources that are telling you different things. It's like I had a guy, I paid a guy $75,000 a year to do this for me for 20 years.
Yeah.
But then I scaled my business. So, I mean, most of the people who don't scale their businesses, the problem is they don't know their numbers. They literally don't know their numbers. So they have a hard time scaling it because they don't know what to do and how to do it without hiring a business coach. And then one of the first things I do in business coaching is, what are your numbers? Oh, I don't know. Well, then let's figure them out, because I can't help you if I don't know the numbers to show you, like, what are you spending on marketing? How much are you spending on marketing? What are you doing in the marketing? Are you spending on SEO? Are you spending on paper leads? Are you are you following up with leads? What kind of sales process do you have? I can go forever on stuff. But if an automated system would come up, Dan, I'm giving you a little tidbit here. If you figured out how to get someone's numbers, yeah, if you could figure out how to work with some of these, like with all of the like Service Gallus, Service Titan, Jobber, Home Pro, or not Home Pro, House Call Pro, all these things that do a wraparound, and with QuickBooks and theirs, and could figure out a wraparound how to give people a full report on sales per opportunity, sales averaging, per employee, sales guy, production numbers, like how they doing, what's your highest thing, and best, what are your best profit on some jobs, what are your best selling jobs, and every week would spit out this enormous report that really was something that, it was right now going to find all these answers. Like Service Titan probably is the best to give you these, but you have to seek it out, and you have to then pull up 10 reports to get it all together. And so,
and then for me, it's take that giant report and give you one little dashboard that's got a couple of green, yellow, and red lights on it.
Yep.
How we doing, right? So you wake up Monday morning, you look and go, okay, for last week, we were green in sales leads, we were yellow in, service calls, we were great, right? And then you dig into it and actually look at the details around that. That's all you want. But for me, it's always been, I always like the kind of that dashboard thing of how we doing, in 30 seconds or less, how's my business doing? That's what I want to see.
Well, what would be great. So a lot of these larger companies always have dashboards built, and then we have a dashboard built in Service Galaxy for everybody to try to get, but it's not clear enough, and it's not. And what would be nice to literally have a dashboard that's literally live. It just literally zaps. It just constantly, every time there's a sale, everyone doesn't sell. Everything is just like, when I go to look at that report, I'm watching sales. I'm watching stuff go up and down. I'm literally seeing everything on one dashboard. That's my own thing. I could then choose. Here's another great thing, is to choose to share that dashboard with the clients, right? Or not the clients, with your employees. And then you get to pick and choose what you want to share with them. Some things you might not want to share with them. I was fully transparent. Other than telling people my profit, I shared everything. So if you worked for me, you knew what sales were, you knew what production was, numbers. You just didn't know exactly what I was making. Yeah, I made everybody see everything but my pay. Other than my pay, they had no idea. I mean, and how much cash I had in the bank. Other than those two things, they knew. If you worked for me, you could see any number I had. I didn't care. You could see everybody. You could see the call center's numbers. You could see individual girls at the call center, what their closing ratio was, how many calls they took. You could see all that. I mean, and if you're a little guy, you're a solopreneur, and now you're going, how the fuck am I ever going to have all this stuff? Excuse my language. All this stuff. Well, this is where you start building your business. This is how you build it. You just start tracking the little bit of numbers you have, and it starts to build. And as you grow your business, it becomes that muscle that you keep flexing and building. So I am now talking to all the little solo guys. They're like if you made it this far in this podcast, like this podcast is crazy. I'm never going to get there. No, you are. You just start tracking your little bit of numbers. You should know what your sales are. It's funny how the solopreneur, I'll go to start coaching someone who's at their own business. They don't have any employees. I'll start coaching them and go, how many sales do you have? What'd you have for sales last week? I don't know. Like, you're the only one in your business. How do you not know?
It's not like somebody else was doing
I know. How do you not know what you had up on sales last week? Well, I don't know. I'm like, okay, well, this is where we start. You need to start knowing, what you make. You know,
and you make a really good point there, and that's the you don't have to hire me, right? If you do, great. But when you implement some type of AI in your business, make sure that part of the output of that goes into I call it the knowledge base, right? So into your database of, here's how many, every time AI handles a service call, that goes into a database. Every time, it helps you with a lead, that goes into the data. Every time, you get a report or you do a meeting.
Point taken. So talk about that. So where's this data? Where's this imaginally all going? I don't even know this answer. So you're educating me now. Where does this all go?
So, there are a number of different possibilities. You can use Notion as a data repository. You can use a database. It depends on how deep your technology capability.
You're very stupid with the AI. Where do you put it? Like, I'm just starting out. Where would I put it?
Put it in a Google sheet.
There you go, everybody, right there.
Dead serious. I have automation flows for my business that they populate a Google sheet, and I will go into that Google sheet and say, type in approved in one text box, and it sends that social media post off.
So it creates one Google sheet that keeps updating, or it creates one Google sheet every time it does something, a new Google sheet.
No, I've got both, but normally it's one Google sheet that gets updated.
Got it.
So you can,
Could you build in a history to it? Could you build in a history to it to where it would say, I want to, because it's important to know your numbers. So when you get to know your numbers, Dan, you want to know your numbers last year, or maybe even 5 years ago. So if I'm going to build an automation like that, and it's updating concurrently all the time, but I want to see what I did last December. I want to see what I did last January so I can prepare. Can you build that? You can. I know the answer to this, but can you build that in?
And it also depends on how much data you're doing. So there are different things. Like if you're doing, thousands of calls a day, you probably want to create a new tab or a new sheet per month or something like that, because you can only have so many rows in a sheet and that sort of stuff. But that's getting kind of advanced. But the basic idea, you put a date. Here's the date this data was entered, and here's what it is, right? And now you've got that. You can go back. You can pull a report. You can take a link to that Google sheet, post it in Google Gemini, their a large language model, and say, visualize the data from the past month on this Google sheet, and it will create you a nice little chart and things for you to look at.
No kidding. Wow. So I didn't even know that. So that's, by the way, my voice by they're building, that's what they're using is Google Gemini for the knowledge base to go out and to do stuff. So, that's cool. But as for building a dashboard, well, there you guys go. Literally.
So you want to build the dashboard. This is the way that I would do it, is I would then go to the Google AI Studio and say, I've got this Google sheet. I have this kind of business. Build me a web dashboard that will help me visualize this data. Go, and 6 minutes later, you will have a web page up that will be a visualization of that data that gets updated as data gets added.
And that just becomes like so where does that lives in your Google environment to where you can you don't have to go buy a website for that or anything. It'll live in your Google. How does that work?
In Google AI Studio, you click publish. There's a little bit of setup around it, but it would walk people through it. But obviously I can help, or you can get that your really tech savvy nephew, right? Don't do that, please.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not that hard, and you can then publish it and play with it. I've got several of those. Those are generally kind of my toy apps where I'm like, I'll do stuff and kind of experiment with it, and then I push it to GitLab, and then go into some other more serious coding environments and flesh it out. But that's kind of my process. But for most businesses, having something like that to at least get the proof of concept done makes it easy. I pay for Google Gemini, so it's $20 a month or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And so I get the AI Studio comes with it, right? So you can have this app running, and it doesn't cost you
$20.
really.
Cost you $20.
Right, costs $20.
Yeah.
And then if you're into this kind of thing, and many people listening here are probably like, oh hell no, I've got enough headaches just running my business. I don't need to be playing with this. Then you get somebody that will, like myself or some other consultant. But if you do like playing with it, go in, mess with it, see what it can do, and ask it, what can I do? Here's the data that I have. What can I do with that? And that's I think the part that I missed when you said what's the primary thing that businesses can use AI for. I actually think that's probably the biggest one, is being that strategic partner. Is you with ChatGPT, you can create a project, or it knows your memories. If with Google, same kind of thing. But here's what my business does, right? Here's what I do, and I create documents for that. So I got PDFs of all of my offerings, all of the services that I offer, and how I want to do it, and what my school site is, and what it's about, and my mission and my vision, my values, all of that. I have little PDFs for that, and there are many times where I will go to ChatGPT and upload those documents and say, all right, here's what I'm trying to do. I want to create a new thing. It's my 6-week intensive AI program for small businesses. And, what do I need to do? Talk me through this. And being that strategic partner, and having somebody who's, like some of the smartest experts in the world in their field available to you to just pick their brain as much as you want. Right?
I think the data extraction for small businesses is the first part. Well, if you can figure out the data extraction, and then step 2 is exactly what you just talked about. And this is where, if you're listening, this is where it gets important. The reason I get so successful is helping people double their business their first year, because I get to know their numbers. Hear me out now, everybody. I get to know your numbers. We start spending your money correctly, to where you start getting better clients that have money, that are in your preferred niche or preferred task you do in your niche. We hammer more of those, so you have bigger tickets, more of what you like to do. And then we take the data from what we're getting, and we start figuring out your gross profit margin. That is how you make money. So right now you're probably operating, you're going, everyone's going to say, I'm operating at 50% profit margin. Everyone says that. Bullshit. You're probably literally working at a 20% profit margin. You don't know it. You have no idea. You have no clue. And then when we start putting it in and you see it, it's like, oh my God, is my pricing wrong? Oh my God, is this technician terrible? Oh my God, am I undercharging? Or it's just so much starts to tell you. And the problem with it is, this is why I say in the beginning, if an AI bot could build the data to where it's automatically sucked out of their system and given to them, and then you go in there and take that data, you can hire a coach or not, or a coach like me, not like any other coach. But yeah, well, seriously, because I do that. But anyway, you take it then, as you ask Gemini, everybody listen now. Why are my margins so low and what can I do? And then you just said all the experts in the world will look at your data and then start giving you a report on what you should do. It's that easy, guys. And then you got to figure out how to implement what they say and start doing it. And that's where the coach really comes in and a consultant. But I'm just saying, it's not hard to do. But everyone has to start somewhere. And I'm telling everybody, please start mining your data. You hear that so much. The world is going to be about your data and how to make your data work for you. And here's what I will promise you. In 5 years, which is not very long from now, if you're going to stay in your niche and just stay in your head, in your truck, and keep doing what you're doing, if let's just say you're a $2 million company, you're going to have arbitrage. You're going to be a $500,000 company because all the other companies will pass you by and steal all the jobs you're getting now, your future jobs, because their AI is going to be speed to lead and blow you away. And you're going to be like waiting to do a job, waiting for someone to pick up the phone. You're in the middle excusing yourself, answering phones when you're with a client. And guess what? Everybody else is going to have this so automated so fast that your call volume is going to be cut 75% in 5 years if you don't start automating now. So if you don't start, I'm telling you, you will not have a business that you can support your family in 5 years. That's a fact. And I know this for a fact because I watched my own business before I sold it start having arbitrage till we started automating better this summer. And so it happens. So anyway, well, Dan, we need to have you on again because there's a lot more we can talk about. Boy, there's so much to talk about in AI. And so if somebody wants to work with Dan Gentry, AI powered life balance, what do they do?
Thirdpowerlife.ai is the simplest way. It takes you to my website. I'm also on, most all of the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram. Heck, I'm even on TikTok, but at Third Power Performance. But really, it just you can also join my school. That's probably the best way. That's my AI community where I'm helping people learn. It's the base information is free, so you can come and have a conversation, and then we can figure out what works for you. What do you need? And what I will tell you, one of the things that you talked about just a few minutes ago was, you got to get started, right? And I always tell people the AI train's leaving the station. Either you get on board or you get left behind. The good news is that for me, and like my 4 levels, everybody starts at level 0 where they don't know what they're doing, right? If you've not used AI or just used it a little bit, just try it. You can just have the conversation where, you don't need to have all of your data and all of these other things that we've talked about done first. Start having the conversations, and say, hey, I was listening to a podcast the other day, and these two idiots were on there talking about, knowing my numbers and all of this kind of stuff. How do I do that? Ask it. Start telling you.
Yeah.
Right?
Ask it.
I mean, just ask, and so that's my admonition to people is start using it. And once you start using it, then you move on to, level 1 where you're actually using it as an assistant. It's that helper, but you're still doing it, but it's helping you.
Right.
Where we want to get you to is level 2, an agent, or level 3, the commander, where the agents are doing, basically you're hiring free employees to do things for you. Yeah. Right? That's where the real magic happens, especially for businesses.
Good. All right, Dan.
But it's start.
Well, you're going to be left behind. I just scared you all into the truth. You're going to see, I'll tell you a similar story to people, and then we got to go. When the phone books were dying out, and Google and AOL and everything was starting in the late '90s, the people that were paying big time money for the phone books all took a big hit because everybody else was starting to get online. And I'm old enough to remember this. And so I know in my own business, I was right on AI. That was when I jumped literally from like a $500,000 a year company that was only in my second or third year to $1 million company in 1 year just with online. And my biggest competitor, who was probably at $1 million, he went down to like 600,000-700,000. We're friends. So I was online. He was not. He was on there, but not using it correctly because he hadn't learned how to really use it yet. But he was on there. But he went down while I surpassed him in the 1 year that everybody was. 1999 to 2000 was when AI was when the internet come. We're in that internet era now, where if you don't start finding a way to use AI, your competitor will. And I don't care if you're a tree trimmer, garbage man, truck guy. It does not matter. You can use this in your business, and you will be using it. And if you don't, you will be out of business. So, all right, guys. So, go ahead, Dan. Finish up.
The way that I always say it is, what would your business look like today if there were no internet?
Perfect.
How would it be different, right? It's going to be that same level change once AI is fully there. We're in late 90s internet level adoption for AI. And it's coming way faster than the internet.
That's the point thing right there. It's so much faster than the internet was. So much coming at you, so much for faster, which is something you got to figure out what you're going to do. And that's why I'm trying to tell you in this podcast, get your data under control. Get your data under control so you know where to look at. So thank you, Dan, for coming on. We will definitely have you on again. It was so fun to learn a little bit about it. We geeked out a little bit. It was good. So anyone, Stop Working Broke, that, my podcast, if you want to find me down in the description, there'll be a link for you to come and do a discovery call with me. If you want, for Dan, if you come onto YouTube, and you get on your computer or another phone, he has the little QR code to go into his free learning right here on this video as well. You'll be able to get, but it'll also be in the notes too. So guess who writes my notes for all my stuff? ChatGPT. I will put the transcript of this in a ChatGPT and say, write me a YouTube and a podcast description. It already knows my information and it'll spit it out. And before the YouTube video is actually done downloading in YouTube, I will already have the description and post into it. So guys, it's and by the way, I used to hate writing. If you go to my old videos, the description said was just the title. I hated writing descriptions. I just hated it. And so anyway, but yeah, that is it. So guys, thank you. Stop Working Broke. I hope to fix you. Your next step is the next thing you do.